Who want one last trip to the long trail?
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're kind of getting back to normal, doing like a news update style of video. Hopefully you guys been enjoying some of the other ideas I've been exploring, like talking about some gameplay, giving some tips, giving some tricks, also doing a lot of different interviews and asking many different type of questions. I'm trying to evolve the type of content I make and not become stale and repetitive. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying a little bit of the experimentation that I've been doing. I also got to ask that you guys follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch, follow me on TikTok. If you have those, please support me. One thing that I want to highlight is, Tekken's big competition, Virtua Fighter. As they said previously, we're going to get more details about the game at Tokyo Game Show. I'm hoping this means another character reveal. This game has been revealing stuff kind of slowly, but I wonder when they're going to pick it up and start revealing like multiple characters, stages, all that type of stuff. But for right now, the game looks incredible. We'll get another glimpse at the Tokyo Game Show. I think it's going to be amazing. On the topic of Tekken 8, you have this promotional material that Bandai Namco did, where they did this kind of like matchmaking dating website type of thing, where they have the character Azazina. You can see her profile, the About Me. You can see Anna Williams. You can see Armor King. He releases on October 13th. I believe he's going to be a monstrous character in terms of what he brings to this game, in terms of the impact. But I'm also interested to see if this will be enough for them to reach the next milestones in terms of sales. Armor King is going to mean a lot for many reasons, and as we get closer to that, we'll talk more about it. Tekken talks and things of that sort. Then you have Harang, and then you have Jack, Zafina, Sergei Dragunov, the White Reaper, and then you also have Asuka Kazama. I love these little promotional materials that they do, because even in a dead moment like this, you can still get a little taste of information. Like you have one of the Tekken 8 artists creating this new art here with Armor King and Marizu both blended into one. I do want to highlight here, look at the red eyes, how that's being highlighted. Once again, going back to Rada's tweet, red eyes. But as for EVO France, this is happening the day before Armor King comes out, and we have the final numbers here. You have Street Fighter, which is 1,600. You have Tekken, which is 1,100. And all the other games is about 600 and 500 and below. So this is the first time they're doing EVO France. So of course the numbers isn't going to be as strong as EVO Vegas or EVO Japan. This is something that they want to grow over time and then expand to become a powerhouse. And depending on how exciting this is, depending on how successful it is, more people probably will consider going next year. As the EVO expands next year, I think they have one in Singapore. Now that the Saudis own it, I'm pretty sure they're probably going to want to do one in Saudi. As they're doing all of this expansion, I hope they don't repeat the same mistakes that a lot of companies do, and that is basically expanding too fast and too aggressively. You see companies do that, they find some success, but then over the long term they start to slow down, can't maintain it, and then they crumble. I think EVO should be okay because the Saudis have very deep pockets, and if they are struggling, they could just start throwing money at the problem, and then that will fix it, right? Put a big prize pool up, people will show up. On the topic of money though, you have how much money you will get for first place, second place, third place, fourth place, and all the way to eighth for each game. Now, I do want to highlight once again that this is before the Saudis purchased it. So next year, probably like EVO Japan, that's probably the first time we'll see whether or not the prize pool explodes massively because the Saudis purchasing it. But right now, you're getting the traditional EVO standard. The prize pool total is 100K, but then it's broken up like this. There was this conversation that was going on. Why are some scenes more dedicated than others? And I think it's simply because of how much money you walk away with, right? If a Pakistani wins this tournament, that's enough to buy one luxury car. If an EU or American or a different region that has a strong currency wins this, that's like enough to pay like your bills for like maybe 2 months. And that's if you come in like first place, right? If you come in second place, third place, that's when you start to talk about an even less amount of money. And then also you got to talk about taxes. Also, you got to talk about sponsors taking a cut, right? But once again, hopefully something like this is fixed now that the Saudis own it and they could put up real money and bring out the real competition. Now here we have a tweet from Arslan, where he says, my top 5 in Tekken 8 without order is Nina, Anna, Brian, Claudio, and Dragunov. Dragunov being there is turning a lot of heads. Of course, he put him there because Ulsan did great work. They probably went back, labbed the matchup, understood what was happening there, and they're like, oh yeah, he actually still is pretty good. This is the thing that I always try to highlight, right? the players have this tendency to overreact when something is nerfed about a character, because everyone loves to spam this one move, that one Zafina move, the one Dragunov kick that's plus frames. Everyone loves to spam these one moves, but then when that one move is gone, the character is immediately considered dead, worst in the game, and unviable. And you can see that Dragunov, that's not the case. Just like Zafina is not the case, just like a lot of past examples. Just because the character lose their one OP tool doesn't mean that it's not able to, do work in a Tekken 8 environment. Ulsan proved that greatly, and you can see it's having a big impact on the way the Pakistani players are thinking. When you talk about moving into EVO France, we'll be able to see who comes out on top because everyone has even more time to lab matchups. He also adds to this, Nina and Dragunov might not be pool friendly, but when it matters most, the basics are insane. Dragunov 1-2-1, Nina down forward 1-2, so you can see he's highlighting the attacks that he thinks is strong, which I like that he's doing that. And then it says past pools. These characters are monsters. And this is the thing that I like that Arslan does, right? He highlights where characters are good and where characters are bad. He said that Lars is good against non-pro players because they have the reaction time to stop him. But if you don't have that pro level reaction, Lars basically is just super free, right? Here he is saying that once you get out of pools, Dragunov and Nina with their basic fundamental tools become monsters.
I think these are my top 5s. Nina, Anna, Claudio, Dragunov, and Brian.
And then he even talked a little bit about Yoshimitsu, where someone asked him, what do you think of Yoshimitsu and Jack? Arslan simply says, they are both super annoying. Jack being annoying is kind of weird because he's supposed to be more fundamental. Yoshimitsu being annoying is kind of okay because it's his identity. But I will say that the guy is very strong. I think he's stronger than what people think, but I don't think he's as strong as people think. Also on the topic of Arslan Ash, he also said that the EU online is better than NA online.
I think USA rank is easier. Yeah.
He didn't elaborate too much, but when he said this, it sent shockwaves. People then followed up with saying if Main Man was in NA, he would be God Infinite, he would be God 5. Final thing I want to show you guys is a little bit of sales data for previous consoles, previous Tekkens, previous games. Best-selling Dreamcast game of all time in the US, dollars made and units sold. In the earlier days of console gaming, you had many different type of games that flourished, but as time went on, sports games continued their stranglehold, but then you had a lot of different varieties as well, like a Shenmue and whatnot. Right, look at the Soul Calibur at number 7. That's insane. But then at the same time, you have this list here, all-time best-selling PlayStation games ever. Now here's where you see like the Call of Duties, the Red Deads, GTAs, Minecraft, Spider-Mans, Marvel. Now when you go back to the PlayStation 1 era, this is the best-selling PlayStation 1 games of all time, US dollars made and units sold. Gran Turismo number 1, and then Gran Turismo 2 is number 3. You have a Final Fantasy. You have a Tekken 3 for 5 in terms of dollars made, and they're 9 in terms of units sold. It really is interesting how much of a stranglehold fighting games had on earlier consoles and of course in the arcade scene. With that in mind, it's interesting that the Tekken developers are so uninterested in doing a collection edition. We know Mortal Kombat is going to get there soon. We know Street Fighter already got multiple different types. With Tekken and Soul Calibur playing such a key role in the earlier days of gaming, a lot of people remember those moments, and if you were to release it again, it would probably reignite that passion that a lot of people have for fighting games. And then if you were to somehow connect that to Tekken 8 or connect that to Tekken 9, you can bring in a insane amount of players. And when you talk about the die-hard Tekken players alone, I mean, these guys are still playing this game to this day. You have Tekken Underground, which hosts a Discord of like 4,000 or 5,000 people in it. They all come together and they play past Tekken games through like emulations and whatnot, online netcode, online infrastructure, very solid. These guys even did a tournament a couple of days ago. 5 hours, it was streamed on the YouTube channel, and they were giving out like money for the winners. We just asked that the developers meet us halfway and give us a little more spice, give give us a little re-release, make all the game modes online. It really is interesting to look at how these games were giants, they were titans, but then they kind of fell into obscurity. And it would take far too long for me to explain why I think that is, but I think the developers of all of these fighting games are definitely trying to fight back and conquer that. Some are doing better than others, right? Street Fighter's doing great work. Tekken 8, they're kind of struggling because they're catering to casuals a little bit too hard, but at the same time of saying that, their tournament viewership was higher than Street Fighter. So Street Fighter is considered to be better, but it's not more viewed.